I mean, come on. What did we expect, really? Jesus. This is... Hi, everyone. This is kind of a joke. All right, who wants to start first with this circus show? Who wants to start first? Who wants to write their first comment about what's happening? I am literally all ears. Please. The fact that Novak is being sent home is another level of just ludicrous. It's just, I don't understand how you don't, what is the reason? Honestly, tell me the reason why you would even try. And look, other players have gotten special exemptions, but at the same time, come on. They all knew this was going to happen. It's it's a joke. Just trying to read what else. Ooh. There's a statement from Novak's team, I think. Border operations. The Australian Border Force says, the Australian Border Force will continue to ensure that those who arrive at our border comply with our laws and entry requirements. The ABF can confirm that Mr. Djokovic failed to provide appropriate evidence to meet the entry requirements to Australia, and his visa has been subsequently cancelled. Non-citizens who do not comply and hold a valid visa on entry or have their visa cancelled and be detained and removed from Australia. The ABF can confirm Mr. Djokovic had access to his phone. It's... God. I do have a shoe on my wall. But it's just ridiculous. Come on. That was... We all knew this was going to happen. We all knew this was going to happen. I mean, let's be real. I keep saying that, but let me just read you some statements from all the news articles that are being written. After a 12-hour standoff over the validity... Oh my God, I can't even speak today. Over the validity of his visa and questions about his vaccine medical exemption for the Australian Open, the #1 men's tennis player was told to leave the country. That's why I'm here, Taylor. World's #1 traveled all day Wednesday from Dubai to Australia, a journey that was supposed to begin his defense of the U.S. Open. He was told that he needs to leave the country. He was held in a room overnight over his visa and questions about the evidence supporting a medical exemption from coronavirus vaccine, which proves that he is not vaccinated. Let's just make that clear right now. No, I never knew that, Taylor. The exemption was supposed to allow Djokovic, a 20-time Grand Slam champion, to compete in the Australian Open, even though he has not been vaccinated. So it's clear he hasn't been vaccinated. The chain of events represented a startling turnabout for Djokovic, who went from having a special last-minute permission to enter Australia to boarding an intercontinental flight to essentially being told by the Prime Minister of Australia he was not welcome in the country. Hold on, let's listen to this.
For more on our breaking news, tennis star Novak Djokovic's visa to enter Australia has been cancelled after being detained at Melbourne Airport for 8 hours. Health Minister Greg Hunt joins us now. Good morning to you, Minister.
Health Minister from Australia.
Information. Do you know what the process is from here for Novak?
So the advice that I have literally just received before joining you is that the visa for Novak Djokovic has been cancelled. Obviously, that follows a review of the exemption which was provided through the Victorian government process. They were looking at the integrity and the evidence behind it. The advice I have, and if I can just quote it for you, is the ADF can confirm that Mr. Djokovic failed to provide appropriate evidence to meet the...
I wonder what that means, though, appropriate evidence.
Subsequently cancelled. So it's a matter for him whether he wishes to appeal that, but if a visa is cancelled...
I'm trying to think if he the pandemic has wreaked all manner of havoc in the sports world. Let's see. What can I Google? Oh, Novak Djokovic special exemption. I want to read let's see. 15 hours ago, appalling message, outrage over Novak's medical exemption. Let's read this because I didn't fully read the statement about his exemption. Decision to grant Novak Djokovic is an exception from COVID-19 vaccination requirements to play has been appalling, with some players expressing surprise at the late decision. Tuesday night, posted on Instagram, he was coming to Melbourne to participate in the tennis tournament with an exemption permission. But all Oz Opens participants may be fully vaccinated or apply and secure a medical exemption in order to enter Victoria without undertaking the mandatory. He didn't even have to do a 14-day quarantine. He went through a 2-stage process with their application, first considered by a panel of experts in Tennis Australia and an assessment from the Victorian government. But on Wednesday, the Home Affairs Minister, Karen Andrews, indicated the federal government might also have a say in the matter. Andrews said in a statement it was for Tennis Australia and the Victorian government to decide whether a non-vaccinated player would take part in the Australian Open. But Commonwealth government that will enforce our requirements at the Australian border. Interesting. So it was two different types of governments, essentially, between the government of which he was arriving versus the national government, I guess. That's what I'm listening or getting from this. Prime Minister Scott Morrison subsequently said when Djokovic arrived, if he is not vaccinated, he must provide an acceptable proof that he cannot be vaccinated for medical reasons. Yeah, too good to... I totally agree. I think it's too good to be true. Like, everything that he wanted to happen didn't happen. And I think for me, now that I'm reading more and more about this, it's incredible that Novak knew what he was getting into. And with the Prime Minister saying that if he is not vaccinated, he must provide acceptable proof that he cannot be vaccinated for medical reasons. And that's the biggest difference to me, because in sports in general, we have a lot of people that did not want to take the vaccine. I think the first example, and the example I always use, is Andrew Wiggins in the NBA. In the NBA, you are required to be vaccinated. With that, Andrew Wiggins was forced to have the vaccination when he wanted an exemption for, I believe it was religious reasons, but he still got the vaccine. It seems like Novak didn't even have a good reason to not be vaccinated. That's what I'm getting from this. Is it right that the panel approved with knowing who he was? Personal information was redacted when reviewed by the panel. Was it? I did not know that. Can you provide me a link with that? I would love to read that part of it. If that evidence is insufficient, then he won't be treated any different to anyone else. I totally agree. There should be no special rules for Novak Djokovic. And when a lot of tennis players were interviewed, and Jamie Murray was had one of the most popular tweets when this was first announced, was if this was anyone else, just having it approved for a player was going to be so different. And for tennis players, it was a process that was above and beyond what anyone coming to Australia would have experienced, simply because we had an extra panel, which through a blind review assessed any application, then granted exemptions if it was appropriate. And this is a quote that he said last year when he was asked about why he was opposed to the vaccine. I wouldn't want to be forced by someone to take a vaccine in order to be able to travel, but if it becomes compulsory, what will happen? I will have to make a decision. And he made a decision, and I feel like his decision is still not valid, according to everything that's just happened. I love the related article that just says Novak Djokovic flies into Australian Open vaccination storm. Greg Tilley, the director of the Australian Open in Tennis Australia, said in a press conference on Wednesday he could understand why people would be upset about the decision. Some of you will be upset that the fact that Novak has come in because of his statement in the past couple years around vaccination. However, it's ultimately up to him to discuss with the public his condition if you choose to do that. The reason why he received an exception. We, as an event, also state, as a country, will do everything we possibly can to give everyone an equal opportunity to come into the country. And they gave him an equal opportunity, and he got fucking denied. Like, what is this? For me, it's the acceptable proof that really, really baffles me. Like, I personally think, and I agree, and I know Tennis Sandgren was denied access through the 2 stages that each player had to go through. And I agree, you give people a chance to explain themselves and to talk about it, and I totally understand. And some people do not want to do it. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thanks for that link. I think the problem is there has to be such a logical reason to not do it. And while there is literally no reason I can think of, and I'm looking at this quote right here, no individual competing at the Australian Open would be afforded any special treatment. Whoever knocks Djokovic out of the Australian Open may never need to buy a beer in Australia again. That's hysterical. That's really funny. Ooh, here we go. This is from Alexander Vukic, the Serbian president. I've just finished my telephone conversation with Novak Djokovic. I told our Novak that the whole of Serbia is with him and that our bodies are doing everything to see that the harassment of the world's best tennis player is brought to an end immediately. In line with all norms of international law, Serbia will fight for Novak truth and justice. Novak is strong, as we all know. Vukic has summoned the Australian ambassador in Belgrade and demanded that they immediately release Novak Djokovic to play. Morrison has faced an enormous backlash over his government decision to grant Djokovic a medical exemption from vaccination to play at the Open, leading to finger-pointing between Prime Minister's Conservative administration and left-leaning Victorian government led by Premier Dan Andrews. Wow. The federal government has asked if we will support Novak Djokovic's visa application to enter Australia. Victoria's acting sports minister, Jayla Pulford, said, "We will not be providing Novak Djokovic with an individual visa application support to participate in the 2022 Grand Slam. We've always been clear on 2 points. Visa approvals are a matter for federal government, and medical exemptions are a matter for the doctors." Also a very good point. Wow. It baffles me. It truly baffles me. Melbourne local Christine Wharton, just interesting quote from an Australian, said, "We've all done the right thing. We've all gone out and got our jabs and our boosters. And we have someone that's come from overseas and all of a sudden he's been exempt and can play. And I think it's an absolute disgrace and I won't be watching it." That's one person. But at the same time, this whole thing is just, I don't know what to say. I just genuinely don't know what to say, and I just wanted to do a live to kind of sum up my thoughts and grievances, I guess. That's the way I see it. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in any way, shape, or form. DM me about your thoughts as well. Would love to read them. But this is This is going to be a weird year this year for tennis. This is going to be a weird year this year.